done some coding on the project that we are going to build. Actually, we are building. So now, so this particular session will be a little bit of that project. Okay. So here, I couldn't find any particular scenario where we can use all of these Lightning Data Service concepts in that project. So I thought it would be great to have separate session for Lightning Data Service. Okay, so first of all, am I audible? Is there any problem? Okay. So if you have any questions, please raise them through the Q&A answer. Okay, thank you. So this option, so it's a little difficult to get the questions through chat. So I request you to use this Q&A option for any of your questions. Okay. So what is Lightning Data Service? Okay. So Lightning Data Service is a service used by Lightning components to create, edit, delete, or read records. Okay. So if we oversimplify that, it is very similar to like standard controller in Visual Force. Okay, but the standard controller in Visual Force has very basic functionality. Lightning Data Service is far beyond that. Okay, it has many different and advanced features, like it uses the highly efficient local storage. So local storage is a modern browser feature where we can store some data, like you can say like alternative for cache and cookies. So to reduce the server calls, it stores and cache the data in local storage of the browser and client side. And the stored data is stored across multiple components. Okay, so if we have, let's say, if we have some multiple components on one particular page layout, and if all those components are getting same data or same record, so whatever the data which is used by all those components, that will be shared. So whenever any component updates that, or any component gets the updated code, that will be automatically um, uh, transferred to all other components. Okay. Then the server calls are optimized. Server calls are made only when it is needed, or only when it is a cache miss, or the data stored in the cache is expired. Okay, and the duplicates requests are avoided whenever we are using Lightning Data Service. Okay, and as I told, like data is automatically refreshed when there are changes in the data. Okay, and the very important aspect is the field level security and sharing settings. So if the particular user does not have any particular permission, that operation will not be allowed to perform by that user. Okay, so if you have a Lightning web component where you are loading all the fields, let's say for contact, and there are some users who don't have access to all of those fields. Let's say you are just querying data and displaying it over the simple page. So if a particular user don't have access, that user will not be able to see that record, see that particular field, or record even in particular case. And what are the sharing rules of the records? Like if the user does not have access to record at all, okay, or even if the user does not have access to the object itself, all those security settings are respected by Lightning Data Service. Okay, so how Lightning Data Service works? So here This is our Salesforce database, okay? And here, very close to that, we have user interface API, which actually interacts with Salesforce database to manipulate data, to read data. And here we have this Lightning data service on the client side, okay, which actually, it's like a framework which actually keeps the data updated. And then it connects to Lightning Web Components. It is responsible for letting the components know if any data is changed, if any data is, so like uh, if there is a particular access or permission available for a particular user or not, all those things. Okay, so for Lightning Web Components, we have a few standard components. If you are already familiar with Aura components, then we had like record forms. So what are the record forms? Like a pre-built component where you don't need to write too much of custom code, and you can use the simple CRUD functionality of Lightning Data Service. So first of all, we are going to see those components. Okay. So first component we have is Lightning record form. Okay. So the Lightning record form, as the name suggests, so we can use it to view or edit the record or even create the record. Okay. So this is the pre-built component we have in Lightning component standard base components. Okay. So let me go to the, okay. So what it does is, so whatever the layout, let's say here we have this is my contact page, and we have all those fields, okay, on this particular layout. Okay. So whenever you use the Lightning record form, it automatically generates all the UI uh, for for that particular record based on the layout that we have uh, configured in our um, setup. Okay. So, and if let's say we have this field email. Okay. If a particular user doesn't have access to email, whenever Lightning record form will load that particular data, this field will not be visible to that particular user because it does not have the required access. Okay. So let me show you the simple form, sample code snippet of Lightning record form. Okay. So here we have Lightning record form, and so this is the standard base component. Then we can pass a record ID attribute to it. Okay. Then we have object API name. It is the API name of the object. And then we have this layout type. Okay. So if you remember, so every object has like a full layout or compact layout. So in our setup, like we have a compact layout, these layouts. So based on that, we can say that, okay, what layout I need. So if I say compact layout, so whatever the this layout will be loaded, and if I say full layout, then this layout will be loaded. Okay. And then we have number of columns. So here you can see that these fields are displayed in 2 columns. Okay, like 2 column and multiple rows, like column 1 and column 2. Okay, so we can have either 1 column layout or 2 column layout with Lightning record form, and then we have the mode read only. Okay, so we can have this view mode, okay, and then read only mode, and then edit mode. Okay, so 3 modes. So what is the difference between read only and view? So if you have this mode view, then record will be loaded like this, and if you in that case, you can edit the record if you have sufficient access. Okay, but in the read-only mode, we don't have this option to edit the fields. Okay, and then the edit mode, it means that it will be always in the edit form like this. Okay, and we will see the coding example of this later in this particular in today's session. Okay, then it has some custom events like um, submit, success, load, and error. Okay, so these are the events if we have to do something, some customization over that. Okay, so in that case, we can use these events. Also, we can specify particular fields. Okay, so we also have this fields attribute. So we can pass different fields, list of fields. So instead of specifying the mode or the layout type, we can specify the list of fields, and only those fields will be displayed. Okay. Then moving ahead, we have another component which is lightning record form or record view form. Okay. So this component is, as the name suggests, it is only for displaying the record. Okay, and here, unlike the record form, we don't get the layout or whatever the layout we have defined inside our standard layout. Actually, we need to define the fields, whatever we need to display. Like, it uses a child component called lightning output field, and there we can define a name of field, and only those fields will be displayed. And so that is the advantage of this record view form. So if we talk about the record edit form, we cannot go beyond 2-column layout. Okay, we can either have 1-column layout or 2-column layout. Let's say you want to make it little more compact and you want to add 3-column or 4-column. In that case, you can use this lightning, and also you only need to show the record and you don't need to give any edit option. Then we use this lightning record view form. Okay, and then similarly we have the last one, lightning record edit form. Okay, so the edit form, so it is very similar to record view form, but the record view form we use to load the record, and the edit form we use to edit the record or create the record. Okay, and we use lightning output field to display the input field for a particular field. Okay, so in this particular example, if I want to display account ID, okay, so whatever the account lookup on contact, then I will use like lightning output field name account ID, and then let's say I want to display the name, then I will say lightning input field first name, then last name, and so on. Okay, and then additionally we have to define a submit button here. So it is a simple lightning button with type is equal to submit, and whenever that button is clicked, the record will be automatically saved. And we can override this events, like if you want to do something like pre-processing before saving the records, then we can do that using on submit. And there are other custom events like on submit. Then we have on success, and then on error, and on load also. So if whenever the component is loaded, if you want to do something in that case, then you can use the load on load event. Okay. Moving ahead, then we have this lightning UI record API. Okay, so I think we will go, we'll see the demo of lightning record forms first, and then we will move ahead to UI record API. Okay, can we get bulk record using record form? Yeah, so the limitation with record forms is that you can get only one record at a time. Okay, so you cannot perform bulk operation. So yeah, that is the limitation. And also it is bound to Lightning Data Service. So like whatever all features of Lightning Data Service are available in all the record forms. Okay, so we'll go and we'll create one simple Lightning record form. Okay, so I have already created this particular component here, and I'm going to put. So what we are going to do is we are going to create simple uh, record form. So what we are going to do, we are going to remove this detail tab from here, and we'll use the standard, I mean the custom record edit form. Okay, so for that, I'll use. It's not there. Okay, so I'll just copy paste the code here. Okay, and we will. Okay, so here what I want to do is I want to get the record directly from the UI. So I'm going to expose this particular component to record page. Okay, so I'll set the expose to true, and I'll set the target as a record page. Okay, so that whenever we will load this component on the record page, we will automatically get the record ID. Okay, so we need to import the API attribute, and remember, so we can use only one attribute with one variable. Okay, so yeah, so this particular record ID, I'm going to pass it here. Okay, close that. Okay, and here I want to use for contact. Okay, so this object API name, it is the case sensitive API name of the particular object. Okay, and then for this particular demo, I want to display the full layout. Okay, so I'm going to save this. And if we go here, so I will edit this page, and I will remove the standard detail page. Okay, let's create the new tab so we can see the difference between two of them. So okay, here we have this component. So I'm going to quickly add one tab here, call it custom. Okay. I'll use this particular component here. And okay, so I'm going to save this, and we will tweak it a little bit, and we'll see what are the different options we have, and how we can get different layouts by tweaking the simple parameters. Okay, so I'm going to go back, and okay, so here we have the standard. This is the standard layout automatically generated by the record form and the standard detail component. Okay, then here we have the record form. Okay, so if you see that we have used the mode view, as I said, if we use the view mode, then we have this little edit buttons. Okay, so we can change the data and we can see. Okay, and as you can see that here we have 2 column layout and here we have only 1 column layout. So let us change that to 2 column. Okay, I'll come to that later. What is use of that? So here I'm going to this what was that attribute? I guess okay, columns. Okay, so we have this columns is equal to okay. So there will be total 9 sessions. Like this is the 4th one. So like we still have 5 more sessions. And yeah, okay. So now if we can see that these 2 tabs are identical. Okay. So here we didn't do any type of like fancy coding, but we got the standard edit form. Okay. Now let's say I don't want to show the full layout. I want to show the compact. So I'll go now if we refresh this, okay, if you can see that this layout and this layout is different. Okay. So what other options we have? Then we have mode. Okay, let's change this mode to edit. Okay, okay. So as you can see that it will always show this edit option. Okay, and when you save this, it will change back to the edit. But whenever I will load the page, first it will load as edit mode. Okay, so that is a difference. And last we have read only. It will just load that component in read only mode and you won't be able to edit the record. Okay, and also if we don't specify the record ID, okay, so let's see what happens if we don't specify the record ID. So if we reload this, we don't get any data. Okay, so but we can create the record. Let's say we'll create new record. Okay, save this. Okay, so if we don't specify the record ID, you can create the new record. Okay, so what is use of the record form? So as I said earlier, so you want to leverage the standard layout. Okay, so you want to customize the detail page, and you want to still leverage the standard layout. So whenever, so uh, let's see what happens if I remove this department field from the layout. Okay, So let's go to contact. Page layout. Okay, I guess this is the layout we are using right now. Come on. Okay. Then if I remove this department field from here, and if I refresh this page, the department field is no longer there. Okay. So that is the first advantage. Like if you want to customize something, so if you want to do something before you save the record, and still you want to leverage the standard layout, then you can use the record form. And even if you are on some other components, like some app page, and you want to load the standard form from there, and in with so due to some reason you can use like navigation mixin or those standard APIs. So in those cases you can use the record forms, and this will always adhere to the whatever the fields are there on the layout. Okay, and it also respects the setting of read write setting of the layout. Okay, whatever the setting we have here. And another use case is, let's say I don't want to display all those fields. So what I will do is I will remove this attribute called layout type, and I will simply use fields is equal to, let's say I just want to show first name. Okay. Save this. List of fields to be displayed in orderly list. First name and last name, and let's change the mode to view. We also need to have the record ID back so we can see the data. Okay, this is a kebab case. So this, hope this. Okay. What's wrong here? Okay, so I guess we need to import the field names. Okay, so oops, let's do this. First, forgot that. So as you can see, I have defined the fields array here, and now we should get those two fields only and not the all other fields from the layout. Okay, so if I want, I can add other more fields. Okay, moving ahead, then we have lightning record view form. Okay, so let's say you don't want to use the whatever the styling provided by the standard uh, record form. Okay, so you don't have that much flexibility to change the order of fields and the layout in a record form. So for that, we have two different um, record forms, which is record view form and record edit form. So the record view form is very simple, and I'm going to skip that and we'll see the record edit form. But before that, okay, so if we go to the record forms documentation, okay, so if you want to override any of the functionality, like if you want to do something before you save the data or after you load the record, then we use these particular methods. So we will see this quickly. Like you can say that on load is equal to, and let's say so in this way, you can define those events and you can handle those events, and you can override the standard features of the record form. Okay. In similar way, you can do like on error, on submit, on success. Okay. So let's move ahead to Lightning record form. So the review form and record form work in similar manner. Like you have to define the record output field and record input field, Lightning output field and Lightning input field. Okay. So now here I don't want to use 2-column layout. Let's say I want to use 3-column layout, and I also want some custom CSS. Okay. So I'm going to leave this as is, and I'm going to create a component. Record. So here, let's close other ones. And so add the record form to quickly. So we have this component called Lightning record edit form, and so similarly we can have this record ID, record type ID, and object API name. Okay. So what is different than record form? So here we need to mention the fields using the component called Lightning input field. Okay. In case of record view form, we use Lightning output field. Okay. That is the only difference. And here we specify the name of the field, API name of the field, and that field will be loaded over there. So, and also we use this Lightning messages to show whatever the error messages or success messages generated by this particular Lightning record edit form. Those will be displayed over here. And we use Lightning button of type submit, and we can label it whatever we want. And on submit of that button, on click of that button, the record form gets saved. Okay. So similarly, I'm going to expose this component to the record form, the record page, and here also I'm going to use the API, API record ID. Okay, and I'm going to pass this record ID to here. And so this is the default record type ID for all objects. So I'm going to keep this as is, and the API name you want to use for the contact only. Okay, and we don't have this field called label, so let's keep these fields only. Here I can do stuff like I can use lightning layout. Okay, and I can have these fields displayed on, like 4 fields displayed on. Okay, okay, then I'm going to move this here. Okay, and okay, this input field here, and I'm going to create one another lightning layout. Okay, and I'm going to put the button inside that. Okay, so here. Okay, so basically I am using the responsive lightning grid, which is using the lightning layout component, and here we are trying to create 4-column layout, and it will be responsive. So based on the desktop screen, it will be like 4-column. If it is a tab or little smaller device, it will be like 3-column, and so on. And for mobile, it will be just 1 column. Okay, so I'm going to save this. Here, so we are updating the page once again, and okay, so I'm going to create another tab here. Let's call it let's set this to default. So I'm going to add a component here. Okay. Okay. So as you can see, we have 4-column layout. And if I inspect this and if I change the particular mode, let's try something different. Okay, you can see that it will automatically switch to the 1-column layout based on the device. And yeah, that's it. Okay, let's go back to the dev, and here we can update the record, and similarly we can create the record, and we don't need to create like write any of the code to write like create this UI. So just reuse the pre-built components here. Okay, for some reason it is not updating, or maybe it is not showing the message. Let's see if the date is updated. Okay, it is updated. but it is not showing the messages for some reason. 13th October. Yeah, it's working. Okay, so this is the Lightning record edit form, and what else we can do with this? So we'll see some functions, some events like on submit. Okay, let's say uh, so whenever the record form submits, I want to update one field, and that will not be visible on the UI, and that I will set uh, from the controller, and I want to override the standard function. Let's see this assistant field. It's a text one. Okay, so first we will so default and see what we get. So what we get here. So whenever the form will be submitted, this method is going to call, and so I don't want to submit it before I make some changes. That's why I'm using here the prevent event or prevent default. So basically, which prevents the default behavior. Okay. So let's see. We get here. Okay. So we have got something. Let's serialize that. Contains. Okay. So, okay. So we have this fields, then first name, and what are the fields? Actually, what are the fields that we have displayed here? And if I change this to any old and I update this, let's see what happens if I refresh the page. We'll see if the data is saved or not. Okay. It is not saved because we have called this method called event.prevent default. Okay. So assume that I don't know, I want to add something at the end of this last name. Okay. So what I will do is is dot detail dot fields, okay, and fields dot that first name, I guess. Okay, let's add something last name. Okay, it's equal to dot last name plus, let's say hello. Okay, and now even if we do this, the data changes will not be saved. So for that, we need to call the method called submit of the record edit form. Okay, so this is the method, and it accepts one parameter called fields. So what we can do is we will, okay, so here I am going to use the template.query selector to get this particular record edit form, and I will call its public method. If you remember in previous session, uh, we talked about a public methods. Okay, so this submit is nothing but the public method defined in this particular lightning recording form, and that method we are going to call here. So even if you create this public method for your custom component, you will call it in the same way we are doing here. Okay, so for that, what I'm going to do is this dot template dot, okay, and I'm going to pass the name of the component here, and then I'll call the submit method and I'll pass the fields. Okay, so here, so this is this particular instance of component, and the template is this template, so which is, you can see, like root of the shadow tree. Okay, and as you know that we can access the elements of shadow DOM only using the shadow root. So this template is the shadow root, and we can use these methods using this template only. Okay, so I have appended this, so you can do any kind of processing with data. So I'm just, for demo purpose, I'm just doing this silly thing. Okay, so deploy this. Okay, and okay, let's make Andy young to Andy old. Save this. I'm not sure why the lighting messages are not being displayed. Okay, so if you refresh this, okay, so if you have noticed, I didn't refresh this page, but because of the lightning data service, whatever the updated data is added to all other components. Okay, because I updated this particular record from this particular page only, and if you are noticing that that didn't update here, so for that, I guess we'll need to call its method, or we can set this. Okay, so but here, whatever the last name is, I appended hello to it. Okay, and the data is saved. And if we refresh this page, so we'll be able to see that here. Okay, so I guess for that, we have method to update the UI. Okay. Okay, I guess that we can see later. And so we have other methods like so we saw on submit method, then we have on success. So remember, this on submit is called before you save the data, and on success is called after the record is saved. Okay, so here, so if you want, so as if we want to do any operation after the record is saved, then we use this particular event. So let's we'll just What was that? So I'll just show a simple toast message. Okay. So whenever the record is saved, success. Saved. Call this on submit. What's wrong here? Duplicate attribute. Oops, we need pawns. Sorry for that. Okay. So similarly, we have on error and on load. Okay. So okay. So if I change the record now, let's change this to, and we got the event. Okay. And even we can update the fields on success. Okay. So here in the record form, we didn't have option to check if the particular field is changed or not. But here we can detect the change for a particular field. Let's say I want to do something whenever the first name input value is changed. So I can, on the lighting input field, I can mention the event on change handle. So let's I can use this event. So we field was that? I think it's first name. First name. Okay. So you can see the changes are being tracked, and I can do something whenever the particular field is changed before you save the record. Okay. So that is another example. And what else we can see? Okay. Okay, and also we can validate the fields before we save the record. Like if we want to have a custom validation, so similarly we did this like this.template.query selector lightning record form. We can query all of the lighting input fields. Okay, and we can query those, and even we can mention like required attribute here. So I can say like this is required, and it will automatically handle that. And won't let you save unless this particular value is changed. Okay, so okay, so okay, so like we are like the, we are halfway with the lighting data service. So the more advanced part of lighting data service is still we have to go through like UI record API and UI object API, and how we can use the UI object API in combination with record forms. Okay, so yeah, and other example is that you can also create generic components using these forms. So if you have particular functionality that you want to do for multiple objects, you can so you can do those things using a simple like single component. Okay, so like if we have defined object name here, so we can expose the object name as a design attribute in here, like in the app builder, and the admin can mention whatever the object name they want to use, so that the component will dynamically get the object API name and the record type name, and we can reuse the same component for multiple objects or for multiple record types. Okay, and let's see if we have any questions. So we are already on. Okay, so the event.prevent default is the standard method of JavaScript, which basically prevents the default behavior of the particular event. Okay, so in this particular scenario, if we see that this is like a plain HTML button. So, and this is the form. So whenever we submit we click on the button of type submit, the form gets submitted. Okay, but in this particular scenario, we don't want to form to be submitted unless we want. Okay, so before the form is submitted, we want to perform something. Okay, we want to do some data manipulation like we did here. So as you know that JavaScript like is totally asynchronous. So if so like if we are doing this particular, so it is never guaranteed that this particular code will be this particular method will be executed before these. So if any of the method is taking more longer time than usual, then it just push the JavaScript push that to asynchronous, and it executes the whatever uh, other code we have. So if we don't do prevent default, then the component will not know that we have changed something, and it will automatically send the whatever data we have to the database, and it will save the data. So to do that, we will stop the prevent. We will prevent the default behavior. We will change the field. We will change the data, and then we will manually submit the form. Okay, so or programmatically submit the form whenever we are done with our manipulation, like here we are doing. So instead of letting the form automatically submitted, we are submitting it whenever we want. Okay, and yeah, that is the prevent default. And the event or detail is just object that we so whenever any component fires event, so we can specify the data. So like in this case, if you can see that this component record edit form demo is parent of lightning record edit form. Okay, so whenever lightning record edit form send data to record edit form demo, so we need to know where that data reside. So this is generally like we say that we attach whatever data to event detail. Okay, so whenever if we go to our previous code, what was that? I guess search, yeah, product search form. Yeah, that's the one. Okay, so if we can see here, we are firing a custom event search and we are passing this data with this particular event as detail. So the component developer will be sure that, okay, the data is stored in the detail of the uh, detail attribute of the event that we so that we use detail. And if we so this event or detail value, if we use it on standard components like inputs or select options, if you want to get the value, so if we are using so if you are using lightning base components like lightning input, so we can get the value in two different ways. We can use the event or target dot value, or so this is universal, this will work everywhere. Even if you write a simple JavaScript HTML and JavaScript page, and if you do this, you will get the value in this event dot target dot value. But in LWC, whatever the base components or custom components built on top of this framework, they generally follow this rule and they put whatever the data into the detail attribute of the event. Okay, so what is the next question we have? For the record edit form, can we set so that it shows in view mode with an edit button? Yeah, so that is interesting question. So for that, you need to use the record edit form and record view form. Okay, so let's say what we can do is, so we can define one attribute called um, mode. Okay, and we can have default value as edit. Okay, and we can have a getter like is edit. Okay, and we can set this to true. Okay, and okay, and we can use this. So we will use like if true is edit. Okay, we will show this lightning record form, and if it is false, we will use the view form. In this fashion. Okay, so and basically the record form does the same thing in its code. Okay, so let's see if we have any more question. We are already on top of our 4. Okay, that's the same question. This is I answered. This also I answered. What is use of record form? So yeah, I guess that's it. Thank you for your time. And next time we will see the record um, UI record API, UI object API.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll try to show the read-only mode in next session. Sorry for that. I didn't notice that question. Thank you. Bye. Have a nice day.